Good evening. I'd like to call the Roseville Area School Board meeting for Tuesday, May 13th to order. Clerk will take the roll, please.
Yes. Good evening. Director Shaw.
Here.
Director Goggins. Here. Chair Anderson.
Here.
Treasurer Clark.
Here.
Director Boguszewski.
Here.
And Clerk Chu is here.
Thank you. All right. Any agenda adjustments for this evening?
There are no agenda adjustments.
Okay. Moving on to announcements, comments, recognitions. This evening's land acknowledgement will be read by Director Boguszewski.
Thank you, Chair Anderson. Roseville Area Schools acknowledges that we reside on traditional, ancestral, contemporary, and unceded territory of the Dakota people. From Bedote, a confluence of the Mississippi and Minnesota rivers, a place the Dakota people poetically claim as the center of earth directly beneath the center of heaven, to Indian Mounts Park, a sacred place of burial built by ancestors of living people, and home to the only known remaining burial mounds within the Minneapolis-St. Paul urban core, Indigenous people have cared for this land. Through warfare, genocide, relocation, and removal perpetrated by colonizers, the state of Minnesota, and the federal government, injustices that reduced over 150 million Indigenous people to around 300,000. Indigenous people have given their blood, tears, heart, resilience, and love to this land. Enduring boarding schools that were in operation from 1879 through the 1930s, where assimilation through humiliation was the curriculum, and unspeakable atrocities occurred daily, to the foster care system, where more kids were removed from Indigenous homes than any other group in Minnesota. Indigenous people have not lost their culture or identity and still reside on this land. Roseville Area Schools is committed to ensuring the culture of our Indigenous relatives, the original and rightful caretakers of this land, is studied, preserved, and celebrated. We are committed to understanding and honoring the sovereignty that has been denied to nearly 600 Indigenous nations, including 11 federally recognized tribes in Minnesota, through the breaking of over 400 treaties, and we are committed to the truth of the history of our Indigenous relatives, the success of our Indigenous students, and to the healing we hope to create through this commitment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Boguszewski. All right, moving on to summary of community input received for action items. We have received some community input, and Director Boguszewski.
We have. So later on today, we will have an action item around the potential contract for the transportation services that run our buses for our kids. And we did receive 2 emails, and we had a speaker in person this evening. And the emails and the speaker were generally in favor of us considering whether we could move at some point to electric school buses as an alternative to fossil fuels. The emails were fairly brief. I think they just stated that, and for all the reasons that the live speaker talked about too, better for health, for the kids, for the district, for the environment. Also, the live speaker mentioned that grants are available in some places to help with obtaining or companies to get electric buses. So generally in favor of the 3 that we heard from the live one and the 2 emails, and we'll be discussing that tonight as an action item. So I think that's it.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for that summary. All right, moving on this evening's agenda, the consent agenda. There are no retirements this evening, so I will entertain a motion to approve this evening's consent agenda.
I'll move it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Consent agenda has been adopted. Gifts this evening, Director Kitty Goggins.
As always, we're very fortunate with a very generous community in supporting our schools. This evening, we are acknowledging a gift that Edgerton received from CHOPS, funds for families in need. Edgerton also received from Barb and Rick Kraft funds for culturally responsive books for the Media Center. Falcon Heights Elementary School received from Charity Aid Foundation America in care of Cyber Grants LLC funds for students in need. Harambe Elementary School received from Krista Knudsen via Bank of America funds for the Media Center. Little Canada Elementary School received from Rebecca Nemi via Your Cause Blackbaud funds for school needs. Roseville High School received a number of gifts. The first I'll read is an anonymous gift via Cyber Grants, funds for school needs. Brian and Katharina Eggman, funds for the girls' track team. The Roz Bullpen Baseball Booster Club gave funds for clothing items for the baseball program. Chad Funpfiffer and Karla Zabotnik, funds for the boys golf program. True Green, funds for the boys golf program. Adam and Nicole Hughes, funds for the girls golf program. Punch Pizza, funds for the Latino Club. Jack Brote, in care of the Jack Brote Agency, funds for the track team. Safari Club International Minnesota chapter, funds for the track team. Linda Romanek, Leon Betterman, and Timothy Johnson, funds for the boys track program. Pamela Samuelson, funds for the boys volleyball program. Minnesota Vikings Football LLC, funds for the girls flag football program. Gary Gray via Bevernity Causes, funds for the Alpine Ski, Swim, and Dive programs. Jamie Johnson via Bevernity Causes, funds for the Riptide Ultimate Team. Karen Doherty via Your Cause Blackbaud, funds for the district need. And then Roseville areas, the gift from Karen Doherty was for Roseville area schools broadly, as is a gift from Aaron Mastrian via Your Cause Blackbaud, funds for the district needs. We are greatly appreciative to the generosity of our community continuing supporting their schools.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Goggins. All right, moving on to reports and non-action items. 6A, Policy 616, Instructional Material Selection, up for the first reading. Director Jake Montalindi. Welcome, Jake.
Thank you, Board Chair. Yes, I am here with Policy 616, which is the instructional materials selection, and this, we're looking at an update for this to include an addition of our library media specialists and their collection and how they go about their process. This policy didn't include that before, but as we've looked at it further, we know that our media specialists go through procedures and they do have ways that they want to collect and build their collections within our library media centers, and wanted that to accurately be reflected within this policy as well. So you'll note that there is multiple areas in the policy where we included the library materials. So 4.2 talks about the library materials and the media specialists that are in charge of that. You will note that after 4.2.1, it should say or. That was pointed out to me by Mike Boguszewski. So that is, make sure that you know that it's 4.2.1 is or, and 4.2.2 is or, and then so you have all those different things. So those are different selection processes. And then after that, you'll just see that we started to include and library materials throughout to reflect those pieces. The other change that we had in there was 5.7.13, which is support reading for pleasure. So as our media specialists had a chance to take a look at the policy, most of those things within 5.7 fit with their view of it, but also they really wanted to support reading for pleasure as well. And so that was included. In 6.0, we again added the library and procedures that we are working on as well behind the policy. So those are the updates that we made, and I'm ready for your questions.
Just to say thank you for adding the or. The independent and dependent clause issue following semicolons is often tricky, so thank you very much.
Okay.
I don't have any questions, just a comment that I read with pleasure the addition of support reading for pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Any other?
Thank you for working so closely with all of our media specialists on this
Yeah.
recommendation as well.
Yeah, we're starting to work in their curriculum review, and we felt like this was an important part of to reflect that.
So I wanted to ask, the libraries in all the buildings then are staffed with licensed media specialists. Has that always been the case, or is that something that's recently?
They are actually staffed with licensed media specialists. There is one, I guess, yeah, Harambe is, doesn't have a licensed media specialist, but what they do talk about is that they're overseen by that person as well. So
Okay,
as they
okay.
work with their collection, they are working with
All right,
somebody.
Good,
Yep.
thanks.
Any other questions?
Just thank you for this effort to include them. I think it's
That's
just
great.
really wonderful way to
Yeah.
kind of think about what the expertise they bring, right, to the table in terms of how they look at books and what books our students should read. And so, yeah, really appreciate that. So thank
Great.
you.
Thank you, Jake. All right. We'll see you next
Thank
time
you.
for the
Yeah.
second reading.
Great.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you. All right, moving on to action items. 7A, the Transportation Services Contract. And we have some special guests with us here this evening. Welcome. And Director Thompson, sorry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm very pleased to introduce you to our representatives from Schmitty and Sons. We have brought the contract to you this evening for transportation. We actually have a 4-year contract with the option for 2 additional 3-year renewals upon negotiation. So this could last for up to 10 years. And I will actually let you introduce yourselves.
I'm Bill Forboard, the Chief Operating Officer of Schmitty and Sons, and
Hi, I'm Catherine Forboard. I am the Director of Operations for Schmitty & Sons as well.
Okay. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So
it's our pleasure.
we have been working fast and furious, as you know, working on negotiating a contract. Schmitty and Sons had complied with the same information that we had requested for the RFP when we had originally gone out for the RFP with other vendors. They do work, and the work they do, references speak very highly of. They do the work in Lakeville as far as transporting all those students, and I believe that's been since the early 50s or maybe even earlier.
Before I was born.
And yeah, so, and then also for Burnsville. They have also been in Stillwater since 2022. So they have worked through a lot of transitions. We have had a longtime vendor, and we are looking forward to making the transition going forward. We're excited that Schmitty and Sons is going to come and operate in Roseville area schools, and I don't know if you want to add anything to that, any comments, or obviously if there are questions.
Well, we're both real passionate about what we do, so I'll go first and then let Catherine take over. But we're unique as a bus company. We are employee-owned, and so you have to work for a certain period of time, and then you become an employee owner. And I was fortunate enough to run the company when we were privately held, and then about 10 years ago we became an ESOP, and it's a great thing for our employees. They're passionate about what they do, they care about what they do, and it's an enjoyable experience to lead the group, to say the least. All of a sudden you got everybody raising their hand, I think we should do this or do that. But the end result is a very safe operation. People care about what they do, and it's a different company in the sense because we have some diversity, and when I say that, different lines of business, primarily school bus, but we do some transit work, some work at the airport. We have a motor coach division or charter division as well. So we're really a full-service transportation company, and that seems to be a good fit for the communities we serve and also for our drivers because they can get the hours they need and find, so many people are passionate about driving school bus, but they want additional hours or opportunities, and it's one of the reasons we're successful. So, Catherine, if you want to.
Yeah, if I can just add, I'm very proud of the company I work for. I grew up in the communities that we serve. My kids go to school in those communities. It's really, and that's not just me, that's most of our team. We're all local. We believe in investing local and giving back to our community, and that is at the roots of what we do. I also serve as the vice president. I'm moving into the presidency role for the Minnesota School Bus Operators Association. So I also represent our community as school bus operators as a whole and what we do for our community and what we do for our kids, and just promoting safety, and it's really rewarding, and I'm very proud to be able to sit forth in front of all of you today, and I can say that we will be dedicated to doing the very best job and having a really great team here to support everyone. So
Thank you.
Questions?
So employee-owned company, that's good, because, then they're not caring about just doing their job, they're caring about the good of the company, right?
That's exactly it.
I'll dive right in. I mean, I think you heard me report earlier, we had a guest speaker tonight, and we've had a couple emails, and we've had numerous groups, including a very committed group of students from the high school who are interested in green and environmental issues, who have been lobbying to, in some way, shape, or form, be able to incorporate electric transportation into the fleet or into the company. And my understanding is you were actually on a board at one point, and you might have experience in your history with, or no, somebody, you were.
Me too.
Yeah, and maybe there's experiences you've had with Lakeville or other districts that have had the opportunity to do electric transport. So maybe just share your vision, your thinking. The community understands there's grants available, but they might not always understand what that means, how applicable they really are, whether they cover costs. So maybe just take the floor and share where we might be on this journey, because I think we on the board hope that at some point we will have electric transportation as part of what services us. But just as with the solar panels that are on top of this building, it took years. It took years for the technology to catch up to where it would be cost effective, et cetera, et cetera. Sherry worked really hard for us to get that accomplished after a period of time when it became viable. So maybe with that as a lead-in, just share your thoughts, your visions on the ability.
Well, we're proud of we were the first company in the region, almost in the United States, that brought an electric bus online, and that was over 8 years ago. And that bus was brought online as a result of a partnership with Great River Energy and Dakota Electric. And it is exciting times. I'm the guy who got to drive the bus around the state and show it off to other operators, and it's great. It's 8 years old, and the technology's changed so much, and we've got the experience. And I mean, just we're talking electric now, but we've always been open to every type of energy that you can use to operate a bus. We've had compressed natural gas buses. We've had propane buses. We had the first electric bus. I mean, even to the point that to get that bus licensed and approved to use the state of Minnesota, we had to go through that process because it had never been done. So the way that the grant money is often delved out is that you've got to be in an area where they identify in the criteria for you to get the grant. And we are aggressive in trying to get more. I think it hurt us that we already had one. And then the cities that we serve didn't meet the criteria that those funding the grants. So we've only got the one, but we're certainly willing to look at it. It's a hit. The kids like it, the drivers like it, community likes it, but at the end, it has to economically work, and we understand that. Through Catherine's association with the Minnesota School Bus Operators, there are some new electric buses that have been put in service since ours, and we know how they're doing and how they're performing, and there's some new product coming out we're excited to look at too, because again, imagine having an 8-year-old computer. That's kind of how our bus is now. It's old and it's dated. It's a great bus, but we can't even buy the batteries anymore because they don't make them anymore. That's our problem. But so we're on it. We'll look at it, and it'd be an interesting project to be involved in up here, really. So.
Frank?
I know that we are, as a district, moving toward a kind of a different concept in how the bus stops are organized. It's something that I think we've been working on for a while, and so to what extent? I haven't memorized the contract here. So to what extent would you be working with the district in terms of where the stops are, and do you have any criteria that we have to meet for that sort of at the outset?
Sure. the way it's currently structured right now, I mean, the routing would have the primary control obviously come through the district, but we have routing teams throughout our company. Even if routing isn't a primary function of what, you know, is covered in the agreement, we still take a very active role in that. You know, constantly checking it, whether it's a detour, whether it's a new area, existing area, stop locations that need to get changed. A lot of times we'll have our safety supervisors out and monitoring. We also very much so pride ourselves in, you know, the training process with drivers and ensuring that they're out doing their test runs of their routes, bringing forth any concerns that they have, and we take those seriously and would work in conjunction with the district to say, is there a possibility of moving this or adjusting that to the extent of, what you're open for. But we do hope that we will be able to continue to have a primary or have a, active role, I should say, in the routing.
Yeah, and just to expand a little bit more on that, so we've moved from driveway stops, right, to corner stops, except for our youngest learners. So that was an adjustment this year.
Oh, okay, so that's true. It's already happening.
Yes, but yes, so we have routes, but we have talked about that, the fact that, we look for input on that and things that you see as transportation specialists that we may not pick up on. So we're looking forward to the partnership, but that was one of the issues that we've had this last year, is moving away from some of those driveway stops to corner stops, just to make the
We'll work
more
with your
efficient.
transportation department staff and understand what their expectation is. But it's typical those first few weeks of school, especially when routing has changed, that there are stops that aren't safe. And we have a mechanism internally those first few weeks of school that if you see something as a driver, you need to report it. And we prioritize and push those through, so the most, the ones that we see the serious get changed right away. The ones that can wait, the convenience type stops, or those, but the first 2 weeks of school, I mean, it's anything that's important, we communicate back. And we've taken a few rides with the routers in the car and said, well, look, here's what we're seeing, and it always works out. Nobody wants an unsafe stop. So,
Yeah, of course.
it's just getting the information out.
Okay, thanks.
Could you talk about your experience or ability to use technology and have the GPS and the mapping and the apps for families to follow their children on the bus?
Sure, yes, so all of our vehicles are currently integrated with GPS. So we have the ability to monitor those stop locations, what time the stop, or when the stop arm was deployed. We can measure any hazards if there was a speeding or a harsh braking, all of those factors. The parent app part, is usually dictated based on the routing software that's utilized. But we've worked across a lot of different platforms. And I will say, I feel we're pretty fast at being able to adapt and to be able to help implement that. We have other colleagues on our team here that are very specialized in, all those connectivity issues with the buses and with the software. And in one of our school districts, I mean, to be honest, we never hear from parents about the app. It works very smoothly, and I haven't heard one comment since the start of the school year. So I'm confident if, that's a path, if, we can assist with.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we have an internal policy as well. I'm sure the district requires it in the contract, but we have cameras in all of our equipment that we operate, and we're used to dealing with cameras. They work. If they don't work, someone get a call from me usually. It's high priority. It's part of what's in the bus, and so we'll, whatever your system is to, when the schools request it, it'll be timely. We won't be waiting for a day to get camera footage. So,
if I could just quickly add, we were one of the first companies in the state to have stop arm cameras equipped on all of our vehicles, and so that is that's an important aspect of what we do as well. So,
thank you.
As a district, we've prided ourselves on having an equity vision, a vision where all of our students, staff, and families are treated with respect, regardless of a variety of differences that make our our wonderfully rich group of students here. I was wondering what kind of training or preparation do you provide to your staff to be able to help support this kind of vision for our district?
Yeah, absolutely. We take pride in making sure that all students and our drivers and aides and everybody is able to work collectively together and in a positive environment. We provide classroom training along with our behind the wheel training for any new employee, where we go over a vast group of different topics. We also welcome the school district to come and present at a safety meeting on specialty presentations and things to, further educate our team. We have monthly safety meetings, and that it's mandatory attendance, and so that would be certainly, we would hope, or, would love to partner with the district on, so.
Thank you.
And we found it to be very successful. We've got a diverse workforce, but sometimes people don't understand what they're saying. They don't know how to handle situations, whether with parents or the students. And it's great to have the staff interact with drivers because we're all in the same, we're all trying to accomplish the same thing. And we've had great success with having school staff interact with our staff. And this is what you can do in that situation. Or, it's awesome. So we'll make that available to you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Anybody? All right. Thank you so much. I mean, this was a detailed contract. Very detailed, but I like how specific and detailed we get, driver responsibilities, dress code, backup drivers. It's just, any other? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Well, I move, but before I do, I'll just say, I'd also like to extend kudos to Sherry,
Yep.
who was the prime mover behind this very detailed 742 page, or whatever.
And the master editor.
Yeah. So thanks, Sherry, for doing this. So.
Thank you.
I'll move that what's the form of the motion? I move that we approve the four-year contract as presented.
All right. Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion before us? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion is adopted.
Thank you
you.
for being,
So much.
thank you
Thank you for being here.
We're super excited to get started.
Yeah,
And,
it's great.
we're hiring, and we look forward to meeting your staff and getting out in the community. And if anything we can do, just let us know.
Because I also want to say, harking back to, you may see students every now and then, or you may be hearing from students who are very passionate, again, about electric busing. I just want to mention that we've had
We
students.
have to bring ours up.
Yeah, and I want to say, and
maybe Rose Fest Parade.
right,
Yeah,
and,
I hear.
and
Oh, what
and
a good
this
idea.
board,
Oh, that's a
this
good
board supports that. It's just a question of when it can be made feasible, both economically and just in terms of the number of buses that you need in a fleet to make it viable.
Yep.
So our hope, if not expectation, would be that as you're able to implement that, start here.
Sure, yeah.
Will be the next electric bus that you are able to get. So.
It's just so complicated, because I remember we put a grant in for 8, and we had the power company come out and say, we're gonna put 8 buses in, and he said, you can get 4. That's it for the support in the grid to charge them, and there's those challenges. So when you're writing the grant and they want you to get a certain quantity and you can't get the power at the terminal, I mean, those are all of the little things that are behind the scene that it's just not as simple as you think. But like I said, we will look at anything, and we are on our transit side running some electric vehicles for one of our customers, and they're performing well. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on in this evening's action items. 2025, 2026, and the 2026, 2027 school year calendar adjustment. Associate Superintendent Melissa Sonic.
All right, thank you, Chair Anderson. Tonight we are bringing forward a proposed amendment for the 25-26 and 26-27 school year calendars. We have information now that we didn't have when the calendars were approved back in February. So this is kind of in the spirit of know better, do better. We see a problem on the horizon and we want to proactively propose a solution. This is specifically around Good Friday. So to provide some context, last year it fell during spring break. This year, Good Friday fell on a staff development day, and next year it is scheduled to fall on a school day. This April, we had 60-plus staff request Good Friday off as a religious holiday or a personal day, which is their contractual right. And if that were to happen next year on a student contact day, one, I don't think that would be good for students. Two, I think it could create some issues due to the demand for subs that day. Yeah. And three, it would also come at a cost of funding 60-plus substitute teachers, and we want to be good fiduciaries of taxpayer dollars. So we've discussed this at the superintendent's cabinet, at Labor Management Council, and with the calendar committee. The cabinet, LMC, and the majority of the calendar committees recommend that we move the collaboration and application of Learning Day to Good Friday, meaning it would be a non-student day, a non-school day for students and families. Staff could still take the day off, and it would not impact students or substitute teachers. It does move the collaboration and application of Learning Day before the staff development day in third try, but we were able to put them in the desired order 2 out of 3 times during the school year. Therefore, the recommendation is that we move the collaboration and application of Learning Day during the 25-26 school year calendar from Monday, April 20th to Friday, April 3rd. And that would be for both the district and the year-round calendar, which you have in your packets. And we recommend that we move the collaboration and application of Learning Day from the 26-27 school year calendar from Monday, April 19th. To Friday, March 26th. We'd also be taking a closer look at the 26-27 school year calendar when the calendar committee meets again next fall. The last piece of information that I'll share is we have not yet broadly communicated this, our 25-26 calendar with our families or our staff. We were holding on that to see what the decision or recommendation was for this evening. So with that summary, I'll open it up to comments and questions that you might have.
So the Good Friday is, I don't know when the full moon is in next year.
Yep.
So.
It would move to Friday, April 3rd.
April 3rd, okay.
Yep, so you can see where that one's kind of shaded out, and then if you look to the 26-27 calendar, it would move to Friday, March 26th. Again, I think we'd have bigger discussions as a calendar committee around it, but that would be the proposal at this time.
So are you looking for approval tonight, or?
It would take board action to change the calendars, if that's my understanding, because we already approved them in February.
Yeah.
Okay, what I guess was you were saying about wanting to take it out and getting more input after we approve it, or?
Nope, sorry for the confusion. We would, every year when we approve the calendar, we approve the calendar for the following year and a draft of 2 years from now. So the 25-26 calendar is approved, and then we have a draft of the 26-27 calendar. So then it all just folds over the next year, and the calendar committee meets several times and has a robust conversation about all things related to the school year calendar.
So
that would still happen.
2 years out that you're wanting to get more input?
Yes.
Understood now.
But we approve it as a draft, and then if you get input that you change it, you come back to us then and say, hey, we have a revision to the approved.
Yep. So we always get like a final calendar, a draft calendar, a final calendar, a draft calendar. This is also the time of year where all the dates blur together in my mind because we're talking about so many different calendars.
So you're looking for the approval of the 25-26 school year, the change of the date from April 20th to April 3rd.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then the draft of 25-26, moving from,
The draft of
26, 27.
I'm sorry, see, I told you, on brand, like I start to get them mixed up. Thank you, Dr. Lake. 26-27 from Monday, April 19th to Friday, March 26th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of dates to keep track of.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
I move we approve it
Okay.
as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah,
And
thank you
again,
for the
thanks
work on
to you
this.
and the calendar
Yeah,
committee
really,
for doing this important but thankless work.
yeah.
The world's best game of Jenga.
All right, we are moving on to action item 7C. We do need to, the board does need to officially move, we need to set some closed sessions for May 27th and June 10th. The first one, May 27th, will be for the purpose of evaluating the performance of the superintendent as permitted by Minnesota statute, and also for the purpose of considering strategy for labor negotiations as permitted by Minnesota statute sections. And then also on June 10th, for the purpose of evaluating the performance of the superintendent as permitted by Minnesota statute. A little bit of context, May 27th will be the board discussion, will be the closed discussion that we have without Dr. Lake. And then the June 10th discussion will be the discussion we have with Dr. Lake. So, okay, make sure we're all on the same page there. And then just again, also as a reminder, during the regular meetings of both of these, we always ask for a motion to close the meeting. We go into the closed session, and we have this very interesting process of coming back into the regular session, so just as a reminder for everybody, all right? But any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to set the closed sessions.
So moved.
Okay, been moved, is there a second? Okay, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on setting the closed sessions for May 27th and June 10th? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, that moves us to board reports. I would like to start with Clerk Chu this evening.
Oh,
All right.
well, okay. So, I had a chance to visit the ECFE, the Early Childhood Family Education Advisory Meeting. I have to say, this is my second time, and it's just great to see the family engagement, looking at volunteer, looking at some of the events that are going on. So it was a great meeting to kind of be there and listen, right? I think our role is to really listen and kind of know and be really thankful. I mean, I'm just grateful for so many people. I heard that there is a lending library of things that people can do, and 2 parents just did all that, arrange all the whole thing and just set it up. So it's been great to be part of that committee. So. And then the second thing is, I have to say, it really stuck with me. I went to the Little Canada. I had to take a break from work, and I went to the Little Canada art installation. Oh my goodness. The art teacher, Sarah Wolf, redid her whole room into like black background with a lot of things that are like glow in the dark kind of thing, and the whole school were involved. Wow. Lower grades did like little fish that they hang up. Upper grades did like paper mache of a whole dolphin and other things. And so you walk into the room, literally, it was just so beautiful. And we had to go see it. I had to go see it because it was going to be taken down, because it was her classroom. It was a classroom. So really just, when I see something like that, you think about how amazing the amount of time that she put in and dedicated to make this happen. And so during the family night before, family were walking through this. And just everybody, and every kid is like, that's my fish. So at the end, before the installation, all the kids were to have to look for that thing, the thing that they make, so that she can take it down. So I was teasing her, say, don't we need a room where this can be permanent instead of you taking it down and then putting, so something to think about, right? But it was just amazing to see that. 2 other things I would say. I've been to like 2 conferences lately. One with the St. Paul Public School Equity Summit, and I got to listen to Dr. Patina Love. Mm-hmm. And then I was at the Bush Foundation Student-Centered Learning for Equity Conference yesterday, and Director Coggins was there, and listened to Dr. Christopher Emden. And I have to say, both of them really were very inspiring to think about how in these unsettling times that we're in, what does it mean to stay the course? What does it mean to not betray, oh, I love that term, not betray our purpose of why we do the work we do. So I thought both of them were so inspiring, right, to remind us that we all have a why as to why we do the work we do, and that regardless of what is happening, that the work continues. So, and I would that's a summary for both of them that was just much needed, much needed for the attendance of teachers and educators to hear that. So, and that's my report. Oh, I guess we did just have a finance committee, and I'm trying to think, maybe I should.
Treasurer clerk.
Maybe I'll let the treasurer report on that one. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Clerk Chu. Director Boguszewski.
A couple things. So several of us were able to go to this year's teacher leadership program presentations, TLP for short, where each year a group of teachers is nominated, selected to work on an issue of their own. It's a topic, it's something that they might hope to see implemented as a policy or a process or a practice within the district. And they work on those over a number of months through the school year, gathering data, articulating their statements, their vision statements, their value adds, all that kind of stuff, and they present to a group that includes board members to the extent that we can come. And this year, as in the past, it was a exciting group of topics. There were 9 teachers who presented. There were a couple that presented on helping new kids transfer into the district. One, what we could do internally for like mid-year transfers and late transfers. One, on how to maybe marshal community resources and support services to help kids transfer in. One presented on things we could do to help with retention of teachers and help prevent burnout. One was on mental health skills and how to better train, particularly at the high school level, how to recognize mental health issues. One on registration awareness for the kids. How can we make kids and families better understand the real content of courses that they're selecting in the future, so it's a better match for success and helping them succeed in courses that they really want to take and are interested in. One on community, collaborating even more with the community around career education and CTE stuff. One on embedding career education across more classes in the curriculum. And then one on how to creatively adapt the curriculum and the DLSI curriculum, and how to break out of some of its limitations. So just a wide variety of things, a wide variety of areas to help the district that were presented to us and the superintendent, and we'll get some thought and we'll see which ones might make sense to move forward with. The other thing, and again, I think all of us except Rose, because you were traveling, were there for at least a little bit, was the annual celebration of our teaching staff and other staff and their anniversaries, 20, 25 years, 30 years, 35 years, and honoring those who retired recently from the district. And so that was held at the Cedar Home Golf Room, where we have a lot of events now, and it's one of those events that is, if not great already, was made great because there were cocktail meatballs there for everybody to enjoy and all kind of little veggies and stuff, so that's always good. But as Superintendent Lake and as Chair Anderson had a chance to remark, it's kind of thrilling, actually, and moving to be in a room with all those folks who devoted so many years, 25, 30, 35 years of service, or those who were retiring and spending their whole career. Because if you look at, what is the district and what are our values and what is our mission and what is our vision statement, that's them. It's the folks here. It's your cabinet. It's the teachers. They embed it. They are it. They live the mission. And so it's just really neat to appreciate them for the years of service and those who will be leaving us at the end of this year. So it was a very nice evening. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Treasurer Clark.
I will reiterate what Mike said about the TLP was very good. Appreciate also Mark Jaspers for coordinating that. He did a fine job with that. It was a good time. I'll let some other colleagues talk about One World there as well. We did have our Finance Committee meeting tonight. Executive Director Sherry Thompson led our group, which was a good group of some boards and staff as well as some community members. Talked about the budget development for 25-26. We also looked at some long-range, long-term budget projections. We also discussed options for safety or tech levy. That we will have a study session tonight. So it was a good meeting, and we have still some work to do, but I think it went well. And the last thing I'll just say is, we had the 9/16 meeting, and this, the only highlight really is the first reading of the fiscal year 26 budget. And part of that, we do it early there because their budget affects all the member budgets, which will be one of them, and it feeds us. So, and their finance director worked with our Sherry Thompson to make sure that there is there, because they're expected some things to be a little bit higher than it was in the past. But
Okay, wonderful. Director Shaw?
I went to the Opera in the School production that the fourth graders put on at Falcon Heights. There's a group from Madison that comes around and with professional singers, but the fourth grade does the choruses. And so the choruses, they've been working on them all year, and so they sing with a professional company. They sing the backup. And the company brings costumes, and it's just a gala affair, and everyone remembers when at Falcon Heights, remembers when they were in fourth grade and what opera they did. So it's just wonderful to see that, that special program brought in. And as I've witnessed several times this, since being the liaison to Falcon Heights, the students there are wonderful as audience. They're the best possible audience. They're really paying attention. They're having a good time, and they're and yeah, it's exciting to see.
What opera did they do?
Sorry?
What opera did they do?
They did the Magic Flute. Yeah, I was going to say they did the Magic Flute, which has got a completely absurd plot.
Birds.
And they sort of moved it a little bit in the direction of Star Wars, and everyone was an alien, and it worked.
great.
That is awesome. Thanks, Director Shaw. Director Goggins?
A lot of things I've done were covered by others, but there are a couple I'd like to mention. One was there's the Equity Leadership Advisory Committee had its last working meeting, and the group has spent a significant amount of time going through the BIPAC stay interviews, because that's really some very good street data, which was what our whole book study was about this year, and had some good conversation around that and some implications. And then through that, we also started on some other conversations that identified opportunities in the district where we can advance our equity work. Went to the One World show, which was amazing. I would like to thank the police department for co-sponsoring that. There must have been a dozen police officers that were serving the food.
Oh, wow.
It was just, you looked at the lineup, and there's all these smiling faces interacting with the kids. It was just a wonderful community building opportunity for our students and our police officers. And it just, to me, really highlighted the importance of the partnership with the police department, how they've been such good partners with us in our schools and really working to build that relationship and connection. And greatly appreciated that. And then the students, I mean, the dances, song, food, ethnic attire, it was just really well done. And our students must have invested a lot of time because those performances were just excellent. So it was overall, it was a really, really wonderful activity. And they had like an hour of performance and then a break for an hour where they had the fashion show and food, and then another hour of performance, different dances or different features, and it was just really lovely. And there's also spoken word. I forgot to mention that one. The last one I want to mention was the Student-Centered Learning for Equity Conference, and I'd like to go at it from a different angle than what Rose reported. This is a different kind of conference than any other conference I've attended as a school board member, because its intent is providing teachers and districts guidance on how to incorporate student voice. So, for example, the two breakout sessions I went to, one was around a group called Good Work, kind of building up a John Lewis's
Good trouble.
thing, and it was two kind of college students or a little bit beyond that are working with Shakopee and 3 other school districts around how do you help students get ready to themselves run focus groups, then take all that learning, figure out the key learning from it, and move forward with it. And it was just really well done, and I will be forwarding some stuff to Dr. Lake about that, because I thought that the work, I mean, they're in progress. They've done some schools, but they're looking for more partners, for one thing. But they had some good material already from some students that I thought was worth looking at. And then the other one was something I know Mike's been connected to and I have, which was the Youth Executive Board that's run through Story Arc now. It used to be run through the East Metro Integration District, and that was how my connection and Mike's was through it. But they continue to do the good work there and the curriculum they have. But they're also this year have assembled a list or anthologies from about 25 youth about their experiences. And they have a lovely summary that they put together, some of the themes that came out across the different students. And I will share that as well with the board and others. Because I just thought and then like during lunch, they had a student panel that answered questions. I mean, so it was really about students and hearing the student voice, or techniques to try to incorporate the student voice, or things that you could take back to your own school or own classroom and use. And that's really different. That's not like other conferences we go to. So I just want to mention that, because I know next year I won't be around here, and I'm hoping somebody else might be interested in going there and bringing some of this back to our
And actually, it's MC by, I mean, I take it for granted because I've been to every one of them, and it's free. It's a free conference, MC by students. Yeah, they run the show. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and Bush Foundation is very generous in
Very
their funding
generous.
of it, so it's in a nice facility with nice food and,
Yep.
you know.
Lots of student presence.
Yeah, and lots of students are there.
Yep.
Um,
So yeah, I'll just have to make sure that you know about this, so that, you know, people who can, it's a great conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Goggins. Okay, I've got a couple things. I had an opportunity to attend the most recent District Curriculum Advisory Committee meeting, and I know we're going to get deeper into the new course proposals in just a few minutes, but I think it's important to highlight the robust, the fantastic conversations that the District Curriculum Advisory Committee continues to have. One of the new course proposals we're going to learn more about was multilingual learners, the peer tutoring group. That unanimously passed, had a great, fantastic discussion. And one of the points that I jotted down was just, let's truly honor, these students, these kids who are assisting teachers, with this work. Let's get them a full credit. Let's get them credit for what they're doing, and especially many of these students who are looking to get into teaching, So that unanimously passed. A great discussion around the AP Art and Design third trimester option that unanimously passed, and the PE Online that unanimously passed. So, and like I said, we'll get into these deeper, but just wonderful discussions around the DCAC around these new course proposals. Everyone was in favor. And then the last thing for the meeting that evening was our Family and Consumer Science team had a report on the implementation plan and purchase discussion phase. So that went well. And then just one of the last things, the last District Safety and Security Team meeting for the school year. We reviewed Policy 520, which is a rather robust policy on student discipline, very robust. And one of the reasons why that it was brought to us, there were recent legislative changes that we wanted to highlight. And Melissa walked us through a great exercise to kind of lead us into a discussion of some of these changes. So, we had any questions that we had, kind of this, how you call it, this marker talk.
Marker talk. Yeah,
Marker
we got a
talk,
marker.
kind of thing, where just a fabulous way to lean into these discussions about some of the changes. So we went over that, and then one of the things that is going to be new starting next fall with the DSST is it's going to be having a rolling rotational membership to try to get some new, fresh faces, some new perspectives. So half of the current team will stay on for next year. Half members are going to be joining. So just to kind of give us all new, again, perspectives, cultivating, as you say, these credible messengers regarding safety and security. It's always great to look at it with a fresh perspective, fresh eyes. So continue to love to be on this. So, I will definitely be on it next fall. So That's it for me. Superintendent's report, Dr. Lake.
Good evening, thank you. Much of my report was simply, I'll echo what Director Boguszewski had to say around recognizing our years of service and retirees in the community. I'll add your years of service reflect a deep and lasting commitment to our community, and we are stronger because of the relationships, care, and consistency that you all have brought to our schools each and every day. I'll add a special thank you to the Roseville Area Schools Foundation for joining us in the celebration and for providing thoughtful gifts and words of gratitude. Your presence added so much to the event and helped us truly honor the incredible people who make this district such a special place. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lake. All right, that brings us to the end of our regular meeting. If there's no further, just maybe a reminder, let's just take a 5-minute break before we head into the study session. If there's no other business before the board, stand adjourned.